So hello guys, greetings to you. I'm honored that you are here. Today's talk will be about optimizing the Joomla extensions directory, SEO in the wild. My name is Christopher Wagner and I'm a member of our Joomla SEO team. But before we start, I want to talk about an SEO competition in Germany where we took part. And when they started and announced that there was an SEO competition, I thought, yeah, well, what are you going to do? It's just another SEO competition. If you take part with your website, you likely won't have enough power to achieve any high rankings. And I went to bed with that thought and said to myself, before falling asleep, maybe we can do something with Joomla. So the SEO Day in Germany is an SEO conference where about 800 marketing deciders are attending. So there are SEOs, there are UX specialists and all sorts of other specialists within the company. And on Monday the contest was announced, and on Tuesday I scripted a small storyline and got people involved so that we would start. That contest is about the Sieblingsgeburt. The Sieblingsgeburt is an artificial keyword that hasn't been present in the German language corpus before. So it is a completely invented keyword, and when you start optimizing for that, you can see how Google is starting to rank the pages. And what I wanted to achieve with that project is, tell people that Joomla is still there, because a lot of people that I talked to said, okay, Joomla, that's a content management system, yeah, I know that, but does it exist? We wanted to create useful content and convince people that Joomla is actually good for SEO and win the contest. Okay, we said challenge accepted. Now meet Captain Joomla. Captain Joomla was the figure that we invented that would fight. Bold Toad is a figure where I have a small story to tell. In a Facebook discussion in the circle of colleagues, I have a colleague from Berlin who called me Gaylord. So since he is very bold, he is the Bold Toad, and I called him Bold Toad, and I had my revenge with that contest. He knows about that, but not a lot of people do know about that. And I always wanted to kill the Bold Toad. These are the 7 CMS dwarfs which helped Captain Joomla to win the fight. And this is the dog mother Fee who is giving birth to the 7 sweet 7-lings. This is the storyline. So in the 7 forest, Captain Joomla is too young to fight. His father Mambo died. The 7 CMS dwarfs help him gain more experience. Bold Toad, who has 7 poisons, creates chaos in the 7 forest. The dog mother Fee is given a vision of the birth of the sweet 7-lings who can defeat the 7 poisons with their saliva and hair. The Bold Toad, of course, would like to kill the sweet 7-lings and Captain Joomla to the rescue. The morale of the story, Joomla wins despite the tough test. That's why you use Joomla and none of the rest. Well, let's have a quick look into the landing page that we created. Okay, so this is the landing page. We also created a small YouTube video. We had some custom graphics, which Lucas Jardin designed. And then we are just talking about the Sieblingsgeburt. Here you see, I don't know, is my mouse pointer on the video? Yes. Yeah. Here you see we have a custom rankings module, so we are scraping the Google search result pages every day. Today apparently we are on position 4 for Sieblingsgeburt, which is very good. Here you see a little bit of the top 15 positions and who is ranking on the top 15 positions in Google.de. And then we have a little text optimized for the keyword Sieblingsgeburt, and that's pretty much it. Now, apparently we made position 3 in that contest. That's largely because I had a very stupid mistake, which I'm going to tell you about. One of my favorite is that in the WordPress, in the German WordPress and SEO group, we had a discussion whether Joomla actually isn't better for SEO than WordPress. So that was my personal victory. So how did we do it? We created that landing page, optimized it for the keyword Sieblingsgeburt, reached out to the community. What we did in community outreach, in the essence, you can read here. So what I wanted to achieve is do some Google click-through optimization. I wanted other articles to have a higher bounce rate, so I asked the community to go to the other pages and then bounce back to the search result pages. And after they did that, go to the Joomla page, stay on that page, watch the video so that we would get good user signals. There's also a story to that, because my mistake was that we created footer links within all the Joomla properties, adding these footer links to about 1.2 million pages. And apparently Google didn't like that. It didn't like that at all. So we were out of the index in about 3/4 of a day. And I thought, okay, that was the competition for us. So what I did then is we took that link out and had Google recrawl the sites, and then we were actually back, which was a good thing. And I thought, well, but I want at least some footer links, and I had the footer links added to Joomla.org. And bam, we were out of the index yet again. So what I then did is I applied a very, very hacky technique where I put in a 301 redirect of an HTML page on Joomla.org to one of the domains that I controlled with the complete sitemap of Joomla.org. And Google follows that redirect to the other domain, and then started re-indexing the pages without the footer links. And that is when we were coming back. So, and we also created this engaging video. There were a lot of people who said that they have been showing that to their children. So I guess we are marketing Joomla with the new and following generation, which is a good thing. What I also wanted to show you is that when you Google for Joomla and Sieblingsgeburt, we have about 158,000 pages in the index. More representative is when you take the query and take the Joomla properties out. So apparently we have created links and mentions from 36,200 pages, which isn't a bad result. The direct links that I could see are about 90 to 100, and in the SEO contest, a total amount of about 180 websites took part. So making position 3 is quite good, but of course it's attributed also to the strength of Joomla.org. Yeah? Yeah. Yeah, the community outreach worked really, really well. When I started, I created a whole list of whom I wanted to outreach to, and I thought, is that going to work? But apparently, the call for arms in the Joomla community, was put to the test, and it worked out. The team that I had was Rowan, Sandra, Stephanie, Sven, Lucas, Patrick, David, myself, and Mark. Thank you to Lucas Jardin for doing a great job with the graphics, and David Neukirchen for helping me in designing the page the way we wanted that. And it was a great experience, even though it took me 70 work hours. So now let's come to the technical SEO part in optimizing the Joomla extensions directory. I have a small disclaimer, because this presentation is about learning from the errors made, and that the current JED team is not responsible for the errors that have been made, because we had an external agency that built the JED for us for a lot of money, but that isn't of a good quality. Now, we have about 7,881 extensions, a couple of content pages, but the sites in the Google index you can see is 112,000. So if you calculate that, something must be wrong. Yeah? And this certainly is not a quality signal for the domain. When using Screaming Frog, by the way, is supporting the SEO team with providing free software to us. It is a web crawler that crawls through the pages that took 27 hours and discovered 321,562 HTML pages. So when you recall that we should only have the 7,881 plus 30 content pages, that is quite a lot of pages that Google has to crawl through and find out where the quality lies. You see here a couple of problem pages. You see here above, maybe I need a pointer, that joomla.org/profile gives you about 71,139 pages. It's about the extension profiles. You see that here there are get parameters with the limit start delimiter. This is about the reviews and the different review pages that have been created. And of course, all of these pages are valid HTML pages that we provide for indexation with Google. Is that cool? No. So you see in the profile directory that Google has about half of that, or has had half of that in the index, which we have been pushing for removing that. Now, how do you act in such a case? Well, you think about how to no-index follow these pages in the meta robots and try to send clear signals. We are having had small problems with Canonicals, going to tell you about that in just a few seconds. And one of the mainly important things is that you don't send mixed signals. So, for example, having one page no indexed with a canonical to another page will likely result in 2 pages getting indexed. So if you use no index on the canonical page, there's no point in using the no index because you have the canonical to the other page, indicating to Google that this is the relevant page that you want. How are we planning to do that? Well, we are going to use an HTML file, put in about 5,000 links to the according pages, and then we should have that de-indexed very quickly. Largely, you find out that this part of the presentation is about saving crawl budget. Crawl budget, of course, takes energy and money and time. And once we have these pages out of the Google index, we just block the crawling via robots.txt so that Google doesn't have to go through all these pages again. Why I'm telling you that? Yes, if you want to ask a question, go to the mic, please. No, don't worry.
What is crawl budget?
Okay, crawl budget is largely the amount of pages that Google crawls per time. That is highly dependent on PageRank, and of course it's dependent on how quick your server answers. You know, if your server answers within 1 second, then Google is likely not going to crawl as many pages per day. If you have a shop or a big website, then you want your pages to be crawled as often so that you achieve high rankings and that Google finds your page interesting. The reason why I'm telling you that is actually 2 reasons. If you're having a small page, then usually you don't need to worry about crawl budget. But if you have a page that has thousands of pages, then you should optimize for that. This here is an example of Denmark's biggest jewelry store where we optimized for crawl budget, and you see in the graphic, this is called the visibility index, Sichtbarkeitsindex. And it's built in a way that a visibility index of 1 tells you that you have about 1,000 users per day on that page. And after optimizing, you see that we doubled the visibility of that web page. So that's why you save crawl budget. Now you see that in terms of results, we have reduced the amount of index pages to 19,300, which is actually a very, very good thing, but it's not where we want it to be. If you recall the 7,881 pages plus content pages, that still is too much. You know, what I expect will happen at some point is that we hopefully overtake our extension providers also a little if they offer their extension, an SEO extension or whatever, so that people come to the Joomla extensions directory. Why do we want them to come to the extensions directory? Yeah, well, A, because we are still there and live and kicking, and B, because we are selling AdSense ads on the extensions directory. So the extensions directory is a money asset for us. So let's look a little bit into the other do's and don'ts according to Google and what other mistakes there are on that page. There are 4 ones that we are widely using or widely doing wrong in the extensions directory, which is the faceted navigation, duplicate content, soft for 4 pages, and low quality and spam content. You see, these are all get parameters, and I can show you that like that as well. And if you have a page for gummy candies, you can filter for all sorts of tastes: regular, sour, fruity, juicy, gluten-free, and the price. And if you select that, you will get a page according to that, which is a lot of duplicate content actually. I'm sorry. Then there's an example about session parameters in Canonicals. This is a customer project that, of course, I needed to anonymize, but where you see here, this is the actual URL of that page, and you see that here there are session parameters in the Canonical. So what's happening is that the crawlers access the site, and then session parameters get created right in the URL. And since the Canonical is wrong and points to a URL with session parameter, Google is indexing that as well. That means that whenever Google is crawling the website, different session parameters get created, and a large variety of sites gets pushed into the index. Now, one of the general problems with our rel canonical that we have is this one. You see the red mark here. Who can tell me what's wrong? Raise your hand. Yeah?
There should only ever be one canonical.
Nope. Nope. Syntax. Yes. So, the 2 marks are missing. David, wie heißen die? Weißt du das? The blockload quotes are missing. Yeah. So, I was looking at that, and I said, yeah, well, link rel canonical, something is looking odd or wrong. And I thought, you know, why isn't Google indexing the pages like extension, ultimate widget? We had complete indexation chaos, and that was attributed to the header canonical. That's in the response headers sent by the server. So that's not something that you see when you're crawling with the screaming frog. You have to look at the response headers manually. After we fixed that, a large part of this URL, extension, and then Vic rent car was actually what they should be: extensions, Joomla org extension, Vic rent car. When you click on the results in the extensions directory, then the routing in the extensions router doesn't collapse this part here. That's why, for the time being, we have to work with the canonical so that the right pages get into the index, which took quite a lot of time to figure out and see where this is heading with the 300,000 pages. Also, what we did is a little hygienic factor, we added the trailing slash to all pages, because by definition this page and this page are duplicate content, and the important part about the trailing slash use is to decide whether to use it or whether not to use it. If you don't use a trailing slash, then I'd suggest that you use a suffix like .html, but we decided in our extensions directory that we are always going to use a trailing slash. Very important in that is also that once you're doing that redirect in the htaccess, you need to change the internal system routing to reflect the URLs within the system with a trailing slash. Because otherwise what's going to happen is Google crawls this URL and then has to follow the 301 redirect, which also wastes crawl budget due to the redirect. Then we have the problem that our routing currently is not supporting the rel pref and next tags. So what's happening with the start parameters is you have a paginated page. Let's say you have 10 items on that page. That's your page 1. Then you move to page 2. Then you have your next 10 items, and then the next and the next and the next. And this parameter just tells you on what page you are. So what's happening is that all of these pages with the start parameter get indexed by Google as well. If we were to use rel pref and next, Google would have the indication that, oh, this is actually one very large category page, and that it shouldn't index these pages. So other pages to be indexed / browse URLs, 3,500, search all URLs, we don't need those, irrelevant to the user's extension, and profile with roughly 71,000 URLs. Of course, there are all the other URLs with get parameters that are also a lot of duplicate content. Once we have fixed that, we'll greatly reduce the pages in the index, and I have been told that the JED team is going to redo the extensions directory in terms of programming, because fixing what is there is simply too difficult, unfortunately. After this is done, we are trying to not waste crawl budget and block that via robots.txt. Then there is the presentation part that my SEO team colleague Patrick Jungblut did. We have about 70,600 links that are leading us to 404 pages. So the problem with that is that we are losing page rank, and that people coming through links are not really getting what they need to see. So we have had 3 JED versions, version 1 from March 2006 to December 2008, and version 3 of April 2015. And now the challenge was how to find out what the old URLs were and what the new URLs are. In SEO, you always have to do 301 redirects if you want to tell the search engine, okay, this was the old page, but the old page can be found on this new URL right now. I'm showing you an example quickly. This is an example of hrs.de. So in here, they did a relaunch, and you see that their visibility was at around 72. They forgot the 301 redirects, and their visibility dropped down to 5. All the colleagues of that SEO team had to decide to pursue their career elsewhere. Yeah. So we tried figuring that out, and you see that version 2 to version 3 has a completely different URL structure, where in version 1 to version 2 you see that the link ID 88 and 88 is still in the URL, but in version 3 it actually isn't. So Patrick did some magic and tried to find out where we are getting from version 1 to version 2, and there is such a tool as the redirect path, and we checked the archive.org, which actually was a great help in finding out how the old structure was. And we're looking for the according URLs, and we are going to create a big redirection list to try to get as many pages or as much page rank and link juice back to the extensions directory that we don't have at the moment. So this is pretty much it. Do you have any questions? Yes, Alan, microphone.
Does it have to come from?
Yes.
What did you do with the extension which didn't exist or doesn't exist anymore?
That's just going to be 410s. Status code 410 gone. Remove all reference to that. Further questions, please come to the microphone.
If 301s can exhaust your crawl budget, how long should a 301 remain?
That is a very, very interesting question. We've just been discussing that, but if you want to hear my recommendation, the 301 needs to be there as long as the external link is there that links to the extensions directory to a page that isn't be found. So the permanent redirect needs to stay in the htaccess permanently. Further questions? Good, then we are done. Thank you.